Hello, good evening, and welcome to your last video in Chapter 9. Tonight's video will cover the idea of percent yield. Okay, so let's take a look at percent yield. To find percent yield, we need to know two different numbers. Our first number is going to be a theoretical yield. A theoretical yield is basically a theory, or in theory, why we call it theoretical, what you should get as a result of this reaction. So this is the maximum amount of product that you should be able to produce. This number is always going to be calculated through a stoichiometry equation. So you're going to have to go through and do the steps. This may mean you have to do some limiting reactant stuff first, but you're still in the end going to do a stoichiometry equation to calculate an amount of product. The other number you're going to need is an actual yield. This actual yield is a measured amount of product obtained through experimentation. Since we're not going to have you do every experiment to get your numbers, this is usually given on your worksheet. So this will be a number that is given to you. For example, you just did a lab. In your lab, you went through and you got an amount of NaCl. Theoretically, you know what you should have gotten. How did that compare to your lab? I think that was actually one of your lab questions. So then if we wanted to, we could actually determine the percent yield of your lab that you did. We could take the actual yield, how much NaCl did you actually produce, and divide it then by the theoretical yield. How much, given just the equation, having no room for sources of error, none of that plays in, what should you have gotten? And then, of course, because it's a percent, we're going to multiply it by 100.